I took a night security job at an old storage facility because it paid double minimum wage and asked no questions. The previous guard quit without giving notice, left his badge on the desk, and never came back for his final paycheck. Nobody at the company ever explained why. I found out on my fourth shift, and I haven't slept properly since. I needed money fast, and a security job posting online promised $18 an hour for overnight shifts at a self-storage facility on the edge of town. No experience required, flexible start date, cash bonus for signing on immediately. I should have wondered why a job that easy was paying that well. The manager who hired me, a tired-looking woman named Denise, barely asked me anything during the interview. She just handed me a badge, a flashlight, and a single instruction: never open Unit 114, no matter what I hear coming from inside it. I asked what was in there. She said company property, nothing that concerned security staff, and changed the subject before I could push further. Shift 1. The facility was massive, rows of orange metal doors stretching in every direction, motion sensor lights flickering on as I walked past, then clicking off behind me one by one. My job was simple: walk the perimeter every hour, check for anything unusual, log it in a notebook chained to the front desk. Nothing happened my first night. I walked past Unit 114 a dozen times without incident, just another closed metal door, identical to the hundreds around it, except for a padlock that looked considerably newer and heavier than any other lock in the building. I clocked out at 6 a.m., got my first paycheck 2 days later, and figured Denise's warning was just corporate liability talk, the kind of thing companies say to avoid lawsuits over employees snooping through customer property. Shift 2. My second shift started normally. Around 2 a.m., doing my hourly walk, I heard something from inside Unit 114 as I passed, a soft, rhythmic scratching, like fingernails dragging slowly across the inside of the metal door. I stopped walking. The sound continued for maybe 10 seconds, then went completely silent the moment I got close enough to touch the door myself. I told myself it was rats, or the building settling, or wind finding some gap in the metal siding. None of those explanations felt convincing, even as I made myself believe them long enough to finish my shift. I mentioned it to Denise the next morning. She didn't seem surprised. She just repeated her original instruction: never open that unit, and asked if I still wanted the job. I said yes. I needed the paycheck more than I needed answers. Shift 3. The scratching came back on my third shift, except this time it wasn't alone. Underneath the scratching, faint but unmistakable, I heard breathing, slow, deliberate, far too controlled to be an animal. I did my perimeter check faster that night, avoiding Unit 114 entirely on 2 of my hourly rounds, walking a wider loop just to skip that row of the building. Around 4 a.m., sitting at the front desk, I heard, clearly, through the building's mostly empty silence, someone say a single word from somewhere deep in the storage rows. My name. I checked the security cameras immediately. Every hallway showed empty rows of orange doors, nothing moving, nothing out of place. Whatever had said my name hadn't been caught on any of the 12 cameras covering that section. I almost quit that morning. The paycheck convinced me to stay one more shift. Shift 4. This is the shift I can't fully explain, even now. Around 3 a.m., doing my rounds, I found Unit 114's padlock lying open on the ground in front of the door, not broken, not forced, just unlocked and resting on the concrete as though someone had simply removed it and set it down gently. I should have called Denise immediately. Instead, driven by curiosity stronger than any warning I'd been given, I pulled the door up just enough to look inside. The unit was almost completely empty, except for a single object sitting in the exact center of the concrete floor, an old rotary telephone, unplugged, no cord connecting it to anything, sitting perfectly upright as if placed there deliberately. As I stood there, staring at it, the phone rang. I want to be honest, I don't know why I answered it. Some part of me needed to know what was happening more than I needed to protect myself from it. I picked up the receiver. On the other end, a voice I didn't recognize said, calmly, "You shouldn't have opened this one. Now you're on the list too." Then the line went dead, and the phone itself went completely silent, no dial tone, nothing, just a dead receiver in my shaking hand. After that night, I closed the unit, replaced the padlock exactly where I'd found it, and finished my shift in a state I can only describe as numb. I never went back for a fifth shift. I called Denise the next morning to quit, and she didn't ask why, didn't argue, just said understood and hung up. I looked up the facility's ownership history out of pure obsession afterward. The building had changed hands 4 times in the past decade, and every single previous owner had listed Unit 114 specifically as excluded from the sale, a unit that, according to public records, belonged to nobody, paid for by an account that had been closed for over 15 years, yet somehow still remained locked, still remained untouched, still remained exactly where it was. 6 months later, I still get calls sometimes from a blocked number, always around 3 a.m., always silent for exactly 10 seconds before disconnecting. I've never answered. I don't plan to start now. If you ever take a job with one strange rule attached to it, one door you're told never to open, one thing you're told never to do, take the warning seriously, even if nobody explains why. Some jobs pay well specifically because of what they're protecting you from. And if you ever find a lock already open on something you were warned about, just walk away. Some phones are better left ringing.